Method for total moisture content of aggregate by drying. This method demonstrates how to find the percent of evaporable moisture in a sample of aggregate by drying. It will generally measure the moisture in the test sample more reliably than the sample can be made to represent the aggregate supply. To perform the test, you will need a balance or scale sensitive throughout the operating range to 0.1% of the weight of the sample being tested, an electric or gas hot plate, electric heat lamp, or a ventilated oven capable of maintaining the surface surrounding the sample at 230 degrees Fahrenheit plus or minus 9 degrees, a metal spoon or spatula of convenient size, and a metal container not affected by heat and of sufficient volume to contain the sample without danger of spilling. The container should be shaped so that the depth of the sample will not exceed 1/5 of the least lateral dimension, like this frying pan for use with a hot plate, or this shallow flat-bottomed pan for use with heat lamps or oven. Obtain the aggregate sample in accordance with ASTM method D75, sampling aggregates. Make sure the aggregate sample is representative of the moisture content in the supply being tested. As shown in the standard, the minimum amount of normal weight aggregate required for the test increases as the maximum nominal size of the aggregate increases. For this demonstration, we will use a frying pan and electric hot plate. To start the test, weigh and record the weight of the frying pan. The pan weighs 476.7 grams. Place a sample of the fine aggregate in the frying pan and weigh as quickly as possible to avoid moisture loss. The minimum weight of the fine aggregate should be 500 grams. Weighing to the nearest 0.1%, the weight of the sample and pan is 1109.1 grams. The weight of the fine aggregate sample is the weight of the sample and pan, 1109.1 grams, minus the weight of the pan, 476.7 grams. The sample weight is 632.4 grams. When using an electric or gas hot plate or electric heat lamp, stir the sample to speed up drying and to avoid hot spots. Stirring is unnecessary when the sample is dried in a ventilated oven. When the sample appears to be thoroughly dry, allow it to cool sufficiently so as not to damage the scale and weigh it to the nearest 0.1%. The weight of the sample and pan is 1,094.3 grams. Return the pan with the sample to the hot plate and continue drying for another minute or two. Re-weigh the sample after the additional drying, again allowing it to cool sufficiently so as not to damage the scale. The sample and pan still weigh 1,094.3 grams. We have not lost any weight with the additional drying. The sample is considered to be thoroughly dry when further heating causes less than 0.1% or 0.5 of a gram for a 500-gram sample additional loss in weight. Continue the drying until this requirement is met. The dry weight of the sample is the weight of the dried sample and pan, 1,094.3 grams, minus the weight of the pan, 476.7 grams. The weight of the dried sample is 617.6 grams. To calculate total moisture content, take the difference between the weight of the original sample, 632.4 grams, and the weight of the dried sample, 617.6 grams, and divide by the weight of the dried sample, 617.6 grams. Multiply by 100 for percent. The total moisture content of our test sample is 2.40%. This concludes our